Customer service, done right, can be your company's single biggest competitive advantage. Welcome to the Customer Service Revolution. Join customer service authority and best-selling author John DeJulius as he interviews leaders who are revolutionizing their industries. This is more than a podcast, though. It's a movement. The Customer Service Revolution is a radical overthrow of conventional business mentality designed to transform what customers and employees experience. If you're a revolutionary customer service leader who's ready to stop competing on price and obsessed with building a brand that people cannot live without, this podcast is for you.
Are you still guessing at ways to improve your customer satisfaction scores? Or how to hire and keep the best talent? Stop guessing and become knowledgeable. Join the Customer Experience Executive Academy and learn what the world-class companies already know. At the Customer Experience Executive Academy, you'll learn the methodology applied by world-class companies to create consistent, memorable moments that lead to happy customers and happy employees. Visit cxea.org or contact Claudia at thedejuliusgroup.com for more information on how to enroll.
Welcome, revolutionaries, to episode 146 of the Customer Service Revolution podcast. I am John DeJulius, Chief Revolution Officer of the DeJulius Group. Today, my guest is Katie Eichenauer, Executive Director of Believe in Dreams. Believe in Dreams is a nonprofit whose mission is to fulfill the dreams of youth who are economically disadvantaged and have survived non-medical adversity by providing access to enriching opportunities, connections to community, and hope for the future. Believe in Dreams is celebrating their 10th year anniversary and has made dramatic impacts on hundreds of deserving children's lives and their families. Before we get into today's interview, let's talk about what the number one predictor of a child's future success is. It is a numeric number. Some of you might have guessed that it is their high school or college GPA. Others might have guessed it is where they rank in their graduating class or their SAT, ACT scores. Believe it or not, none of those are the highest predictor of a child's future success. Are you ready for what it is? Wait for it. The number one predictor of a child's future success is the zip code they are born into. Yes, the zip code a child is born into is the most accurate predictor of their future success. Whether they will graduate from high school, go to college, let alone graduate from college, what type of college, and how much money they will earn over the course of their lifetime. How sobering is that? So let me tell you the real reason I was inspired to start Believe in Dreams 10 years ago. It was because of my childhood. Some of you may know this about me, others may not. When I was 6 years old, my father left my mother and my 5 older brothers and sisters. We never saw them again. My mother never had worked a day in her life outside of the home. Raising 6 children was more than a full-time job. Now, once my father left, with no professional skill set, my mother had to go get multiple jobs at minimum wage to take care of herself and all of us kids. To say our quality of life changed overnight is an understatement. We had to go on welfare. And not only did we lose our father, but we lost our mother in a way because she was now working 10 to 12 hours a day. Yes, life was tough. However, what I did have was an incredible support system around me. My mother and 5 older brothers and sisters all stepped up and took care of me, encouraged me, spent time with me, gave me so much attention, and made me think I could do anything. Those things that my family gave me during my childhood was so much more valuable than the financial loss that resulted in my father bailing on us. As a result, it has worked out pretty well for me. And that is the reason why I started Believe in Dreams. I wanted to make sure all kids have the faith to believe that tomorrow will be better than today. The biggest obstacle to these kids is not what they have or don't have, even what they've endured. It is a lack of hope in what is possible, that they don't know how to dream because to them, very little is realistic. At no fault of their own, they have been robbed of the ability to have a vision of a greater future. And when you have a vision of a greater future, your current circumstances are much more manageable. Every child has the right to dream, the drive to pursue those dreams, and the faith to believe in those dreams. It's a simple notion. Dreams and the right to pursue those dreams. We will be right back with our interview with Katie Eichenauer, Executive Director of Believe in Dreams.
If you had 15 minutes with John DeJulius, what would you ask him? We want to know. This is Denise Thompson, Managing Partner of the DeJulius Group, and I invite you to contact us at thedejuliusgroup.com with your questions or write them under reviews, and we'll address them on future episodes.
Welcome back, Revolutionaries. Today we have Katie Eichenauer, Executive Director of Believe in Dreams. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So excited to have you. So tell our listeners, our Revolutionaries, basically what is Believe in Dreams?
So Believe in Dreams is a youth empowerment organization, nonprofit. We provide customized dream come true experiences for kids living at or near poverty who've had non-medical trauma.
Okay, so that's a lot. How's it different from other children's organizations? Obviously, the ones that come to mind might be Make-A-Wish or those. How's it different?
Yeah, great question. So we're different in the sense that we work to fill gaps in the services that other nonprofits around town aren't funded for. So work together with those other nonprofits. They nominate kids to us, and then we basically provide dream come true enrichment activities for kids based on exactly what they're dreaming of that they haven't had access to or haven't had an opportunity to do. And we break down the barriers for their families, whether that's transportation or cost or funding, to make those dreams become a reality for them.
I started this 10 years ago. Of the barriers that you're talking about, explain that. First, let's talk about what kind of situations are these kids coming from?
Mm-hmm. So adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, they're called. There was a study done back in the 1990s by Kaiser Permanente talking about kids that grow up in environments where they've had adverse childhood. That might be a home that has abuse or neglect or grief and loss, like a loss of a parent or loss of a sibling. Maybe they're in foster care. Maybe they've endured homelessness. These are different types of adverse experiences that kids go through. And once they reach 3 or more during their childhood, the potential for negative health effects across their lifespan raises exponentially. 4 times higher risk for suicide risk, 4 times higher risk for drug use, mental health problems. And so we are targeting the population of kids that endure these adverse childhood experiences so that we can help them build resiliency, and that buffers those negative health effects.
And I think the key is economically disadvantaged because, all right, as you know, as some of our listeners know, my 3 boys lost their mother when they were young, but they wouldn't qualify for this.
Right.
Explain why.
Because the adverse childhood experiences, it includes poverty. And so when kids are living at or near poverty, that's already a traumatic experience. You don't know where your next meal is coming from. You don't get to do any of the
resources
things exactly that other kids get to do. And so, you couple that on top, and then adding more trauma on top of that, it can feel hopeless. And so then you're starting to dream smaller. And so our goal is to help kids dream bigger and realize that they can achieve those dreams.
So situation specific. Incarcerated parents.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, better than me, but this, stories that I've heard, seen, brother shot on the front lawn.
A lot of grief and loss kids endured. There might be a relative in the family, a sibling who has their own extreme health condition. They might be in a place where they call it the parentified child, where that child has to kind of fulfill all the needs that a parent would fulfill because maybe their parent is sick or their sibling is
being
sick.
Raised by a grandmother.
Exactly. A lot of kinship care. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So very challenging, adverse situations. And then let's talk about the dreams. You know, when I started it 10 years ago, you were a volunteer at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was worried that we wouldn't, be able to do that many dreams a year because I thought the dreams would be like our kids. Hey, if you ask our kids, what do you want? Or let's go to, see, something, the Yosemite or something. And it was nothing at all. The actual dreams, tell our listeners what these dreams are.
The types of things our kids ask for. And we have some parameters on our application. What do you want to learn about? Where do you want to go locally you've never been? What do you want to have access to you haven't had access to? And so what we get back it's just beautiful. A lot of our kids want to give to their family member. Their dream is to go out to dinner with their family or to go on to a Cedar Point for the first time or Kalahari, or I've never been to a ball game. I've never been to a Cavs game or a Guardians game. It might be, I want
Wasn't there one
a pair of shoes, or I want a
newer
bed.
pair of shoes, a bed without bugs, or visit the local fire station.
Exactly.
And when I heard that, I'm like, what do you mean? Everyone goes to the local fire station.
Mm-hmm.
We had Cal's 8th birthday at the local fire station, but not everyone does.
Right. And there's, when
they don't have resources, they don't know that you could just go down there and maybe get a tour, but they don't have transportation.
Or some of our kids are living in poverty, and they're living in neighborhoods where they may not be able to go anywhere other than home and school because it's not safe to be outside by yourselves. Right. And you don't have a bike. A lot of our kids ask for bikes. A lot of our kids ask for beds. You don't have kind of those basic things that you think kids growing up have access to.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if it was you, but something about like they might have not have, gone outside a 5-block radius.
Correct. We have kids that, live, a mile from Lake Erie, have never seen it. And so maybe they want to go on a boat or they want to fly on a plane. It's like just kind of those life experiences that make life fun.
Or the Browns game is like Disney to them. Mm-hmm. They just don't think it's possible. And they almost feel like it's asking for $1 billion. And that's so hard, for other people to wrap their arms around it because we're getting on planes. We're taking our kids to, all over the world and you forget or you don't realize.
We also have kids that have really strong potential, whether it's their grades or their strengths. They're nominated to us because of their strengths, because of the resiliency that they already have. And so like an example of this we had a kiddo who he's in the drone club at his school. He's a teenager and he doesn't have his own drone. And so we were able to, part of his package was a drone. He's now the leader of his drone club at his school. And he's in a leadership role because he had access to that at home and be able to utilize it himself.
And didn't one of your dreamers ask for McDonald's gift cards for the homeless?
To give to others. Yeah.
That's
a lot
so
of our kids
cool.
want. They ask in their dream packages of things that they can do for others, which is beautiful.
So tell me, cast the net, but tell me what these kids are like.
They're amazing. We talk about resiliency and we talk about wanting to build resiliency, and that's why our mission is what it is, because we know what builds resiliency in kids, but the kids that are nominated to us are already so resilient. Yeah. And so that's something that I really, really wanted to get across today is how much the kids we serve, they have so much potential, and many of them do already dream big. They just need to be shown the path to get there and be provided with some access so that path is lit for them and they can see what it looks like, whether it's, I want to be a pilot or I want to be in the Marines or I want to be we do a lot of career shadowing. We do a lot of kind of one-on-one, kind of a day with somebody based on a specific profession a child might be interested in so they can see what that path looks like and really be inspired toward it.
Yeah. So what you guys took from, my initial vision, which is really important how you've evolved it. My initial vision was to give these kids an escape, to let them know that the world can be a cool place, that there's some great experiences out there than, just their four walls or the immediate environment, neighborhood that they're growing up in. But there's a challenge with that, right? And the challenge is, okay, we get of their environment, take them to a Brown or you guys, some plays and stuff like that. Great. But then they go back. And so did that 2-hour experience really change anything? So I think, I know you guys have kind of added some things to make sure there's some stickiness. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So every dream we do follows the same kind of quality process. And that includes that one-time positive memory making experience, like you're just talking about, that place to go, that VIP experience to really, really feel seen. And then also a deeper impact piece where maybe they're taking lessons or classes or learning an instrument or being able to do something that's going to have a long-term impact on their lives and really open up that access. So we have built up an alumni program is what we call it. And so all the kids that we work with, they are entered into our alumni families program. And so what that does is it really helps us. One of the ways that I think that sets Believes in Dreams apart is how we connect communities. And so we have an amazing, generous donor community in Northeast Ohio, and people who want to help and want to support the kids, and they just need to be pointed in the right direction. And so knowing that Believe in Dreams exists, we get calls all the time. Hey, I have tickets to such and such event. Yeah. I can't go. It's tomorrow. Can we donate them? And so we've built this alumni program. We call it Keep Dreaming, where we will blast out whatever the experience is to our alumni families. And then whoever wants to jump on it, they go into a raffle. Those tickets get raffled off and they get to go to whatever that event is. It might be a suite at a Cavs game or something like that. But
you also add some education component.
Yes.
So again, I believe a Cavs game, a Ice Capades is great. Something that they may have never gotten in their life up to then, but it's momentary. And so that's where I love that you've really added education components.
Yes.
That it could change the outcome that or the path that that they could be headed upon. So tell us about the education component.
Great example of that. And this dream always gives me goosebumps because it really shows how education piece, but it also shows how the community gets involved. And so we had actually went and presented to a insurance company about, trying to kind of help people know what we did and hope to get some support. And at the end of the presentation, it was a fundraising presentation. And a woman came up to me at the end of the presentation and she says, I volunteer at the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad. She goes, if you ever have a train related dream, give me a call. We'll help make it happen. And those are amazing. We call those our dream grantors. We put them in a database. When we have a match, we know who to call. And I'm thinking, this is awesome. And what are the odds of us ever having a train related dream? We've never had that before. And so, I put it on the back burner. I thanked her. Literally the next morning on my desk was an application from a young woman, a 16-year-old girl, had been through a lot of trauma. Her dream was to be a train conductor. Wow. It still gives me goosebumps thinking about it because what are the odds of that?
Yeah.
And we were able to connect her with Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad. They provided a full day shadowing experience in the train yards. She got to help conduct a train, and we still keep in touch with her. That is still her goal. She is still working towards becoming a train conductor, and it was just
you have a lot of those. More than I do, but some of them, a young kid or high school kid wants to be an entrepreneur, or wants to be an author, or wants to be a cartoonist.
Yes.
And you've introduced them and had them shadow and had them, You've provided lessons for certain technical things.
Oh, yeah. And then they were able to kind of maintain a little bit of a mentorship relationship with those folks and stay in touch with them and have that contact going forward.
Katie, so you've kind of given us a broad scope of, do you have one specific start to finish of maybe a child's situation, the unfortunate situation, what their dream was and what we did for them, or what Believe in Dreams did for them?
Yeah, this family stands out in my head from, kind of the earlier years of when we started. We had a child nominated to us. She endured a lot of trauma, a lot of domestic violence in her home, and she actually ended up witnessing her father murder her mother. Just a horrible, horrible trauma. She protected her younger siblings from that experience. And
how old was she?
She was
at the time?
10.
Oh, God.
And then she had 2 younger toddlers, siblings.
So now she basically lost both parents.
Oh, yeah, because Dad went to jail.
Yeah.
And grandma, maternal grandmother, took her in. Mom's mom took her in, who was grieving the loss of her daughter herself. She was also caring for her husband at the time. He had cancer, so she was caring for her own
grandmother?
husband, the grandfather.
All right, so the 3 kids, the 10-year-old daughter, Dad's in jail for killing her mom. I mean, their whole world is rocked. And now they're living with a grandmother who's a healthcare for her husband, grandfather.
Caring for the grandfather. Money is very tight. They lived on the 2nd floor of a duplex. So
how do we find out about this child?
She was nominated by her counselor
at school.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And she was, obviously going through therapy for this trauma, and talk therapy wasn't working for her. It doesn't work for everyone. And she loved horses, and she was just so moved by horses. And
so Believe in Dreams gets involved.
So we
says, what would you like?
Therapeutic riding lessons is what we ended up being able to do.
But what did she ask for? She wouldn't know.
It was horses. She wanted to be around horses.
She wanted to ride or be around it.
Absolutely.
And has she any prior experience?
No.
Okay.
None at all. So one of the things that we notice when every time we get a dream application received from one of our nominating partners, first thing we do is go meet with the family, interview the parent guardian, interview the child around their application and what kind of package we can put together for them. And so when I went to the home, they lived on the 2nd floor of a duplex. The refrigerator didn't work. The stove didn't work. Grandma couldn't keep milk cold. She couldn't cook for her family. The family was really, really struggling on top of the grief that they had experienced. And so we were actually able to partner with a local law firm on this one. We partnered with the therapeutic riding facility to help donate and be able to help fund some of the lessons. We got
so she didn't just get a ride on a horse. No. You got her lessons. We got her all the gear she needed. She needed boots. She needed the clothes. She needed the helmet. She needed transportation to and from the lessons. And those are what you talked about earlier, that there's barriers.
Oh, yeah.
Even if they could. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
So, and on top of that, we partnered with a law firm for this dream. So we did a whole holiday package for her and her siblings. The law firm was able to get them a new stove, get them a new fridge. The landlord wouldn't fix the floor. The floor was the linoleum in the kitchen was peeling and the kids were cutting their feet on the floor. And Grandma couldn't get the floor fixed. The landlord wouldn't fix the floor because the fridge kept leaking. So the landlord's like, why would I fix the floor if the fridge is leaking?
Is that when you did a kitchen makeover?
Compound.
No.
Okay. But the compound barriers that families in poverty face, I think this is a piece that's huge for people to understand, is that the situations that they're in, one problem spirals into more because you don't have the funding to fix the one problem.
That's kind of systemic, right?
And that's what keeps them in there. You can't get out of it.
They're living in unkept space. They're going to be sick more.
So with this particular family, just being able to get them a new fridge made it so the landlord would fix the floor, and made it so then Grandma could be able to cook for her family. And, it just... So
we gave her lessons. We helped fix up the house.
Exactly.
She went through the lessons and did them all.
Yes.
Good.
And it, helped provide some therapy and helped her work through that trauma that she had endured.
And do you talk to them after or during it on the thing, the expression, the, shock and awe? What's that like?
That's a good question. So a lot of the families we serve, some have a very charismatic response. Some of the kids are, jumping up and down and really excited and they show that expression. Some of the kids are more reserved and they're not always going to show that expression. And that's okay because we're not doing this for us. We're doing it for them. And what we find is sometimes when they don't have that, that expression that maybe the donor community might want to see, we find out later, whether it's through a letter or a note that they send us or a picture that they send, or the parent responds later, wow, when you left, here is how they reacted. Because a lot of our kids are they're guarded. They've been through a lot of trauma. And so they're not necessarily always going to show their emotions until they feel safe and around their own people.
Yeah.
So it runs the gamut of expression. And it's,
and
okay
listen,
if it's not that.
This, again, I underestimated 10 years ago, all it takes. I mean, there's so much to tell us about Believe in Dreams. You have all the different types. First you need nominees, right? Mm-hmm. Where do nominees come from? If someone's listening to this and they're from Northeast Ohio and they know of a family or whatever, what's
Great question. So all the kids that we serve have to be nominated by a non-relative provider who they work with in a professional capacity. So It might be a teacher, a coach, a counselor, a person of faith that is maybe at their place of worship, anyone they work with outside of their family that is an adult that knows their situation, that knows their resiliency and that they're, gonna be able to.
And your number one nominees, I believe, is like school counselors.
A lot of schools.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We work with a lot of different school districts around Northeast Ohio, and we serve 13 counties. So we're predominantly Cuyahoga County. We're about 80% Cuyahoga County because that's where our nominating partners are, but we are actually open to serving all 13 Northeast Ohio counties. So if you know of, a school district or a child serving agency that maybe doesn't know of us, we're happy to come present to their team, show them how they can nominate.
Or if you know of a family that's struggling, you might be able to go to their school counselor, teacher. That's all we need.
If you enjoy what you're learning on the Customer Service Revolution podcast, you'll love our weekly newsletter, The E-Service. It's full of great customer experience tips and stories, includes special offers, webinars, and more each week. To sign up, head to tdg.click/e-service. That's tdg.click/e-service. ESERVICE. Enter your preferred email address, and you can look forward to great advice from John in your inbox every Wednesday.
All right, so now someone nominates a student. What happens on Believe in Dreams side in order to make this? And it's 2024, Believe in Dreams 10th year anniversary. How many nominees do you get per year now?
We're usually between 80 and 100 nominations per year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that how many you fulfill?
Last year we fulfilled 125 dreams.
How do you fulfill more than you get?
Because we are usually in the fourth quarter of the previous year, those get
so
pushed
many?
to the next.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. So you probably get that many.
Yeah, because it takes about 3-month turnaround.
Yeah.
So once a child gets nominated, we vet the application, make sure it meets all of our criteria. As long as it does, we fulfill them. So every child that gets nominated, as long as it meets the criteria of 18 and under at time of nomination, at or near poverty, will go up to 250% of the poverty line, and some type of non-medical trauma that they've endured. As long as they meet that criteria and they have that resiliency piece and that ready to receive piece, we are going to fulfill it. We have dream coordinators who are all social workers or social work interns, and that is very purposeful. The social workers know the resources in the community. They can do needs assessments with the families and then be able to link them to other resources outside of the dream package. And they also know how to provide trauma-informed care because every child we serve has a trauma history. It's really important that we aren't doing more harm through the process and that we're making sure that we're being respectful of the family and their ownership over their story and all of that. So they have a lot of training that goes into the dream coordinator role. They go out, they meet with the family, talk to the child about, do they want the dream to be a surprise? Do they want the package to be a surprise? Or do they want to be involved in planning it? A lot of our teens like to be involved in planning it. They like to have every detail kind of worked out with the coordinator and they work really closely with them. Some of the younger kids don't want to know. They kind of give a little bit of a guide and then surprise me. So it kind of runs the gamut there. And then after that first meeting, our coordinators go to work project managing the entire package. So whether there's things they need to shop for, experiences they need to set up, we do a lot of requests for donations, a lot of connecting with those dream grantors that I talked about earlier to really help put that dream package to life and make it be something that the child is going to really, really feel seen. One of the things on the application, outside of those 3 big pieces we ask, learn about, have access to, and go, we ask about their hobbies and their interests and their favorite things. And those are the things that get sprinkled into the package in a way. So the kids really feel seen. So maybe it's their favorite color, or we wrap things in their favorite color. Maybe we had a girl once who she wanted to have a guitar and guitar lessons. And so she wanted a pink guitar. We got her a hot pink guitar. But the thing that really wowed her, that really excited her at the presentation, was the picks for the guitar were her favorite bands. And so, and that's where Kristen comes in. Kristen is our dream fulfillment supervisor, and she's just the most attention to detail. She's amazing at this. And she will hone in on something really, really specific about what the child wants or dreams about, like these guitar picks. And that was what wowed her, because it was like, wow, you really saw me. These are my favorite bands.
Yeah.
And now I have a pick.
It's not a generic.
Everything is so customized in that way. So the kids really, really feel seen.
Since Believe in Dreams is celebrating their 10-year anniversary, have we had any alumni dreamers that we've seen or come back and shared, the impact it's had 3, 5, 6 years later?
Yes. We actually keep in touch with several of our alumni. We have 3 alumni events a year.
Because a lot are adults now. They're in their 20s.
Yes, we actually have a past dreamer who, she has 2 kiddos of her own now. She comes to all of our alumni events. She's actually working on starting her own nonprofit. So she came and met with me about, kind of getting some advice around that. And so it's really beautiful to see them stay in touch with us and utilize us as a support ongoing when they, when they just need a connection in the community. Like I always talk about people who have a lot of resources. When something breaks down or when you need something, you have a guy. Yeah. You know someone you can call who is a friend or a friend of a friend, and they're going to give you a deal, right? The families we serve, there's not a lot of support. There's not a lot of resource. And so when something breaks or something they need, they don't have a guy. So I would say we're their guy, and they can call us, and we will link them in a soft
introduction
to someone who can help. Yes. Yeah. So that's my favorite thing of when our alumni families call us and they're like, oh, here's what I need. And it's so exciting to be able to point them in the right direction.
How is Believe in Dreams funded?
Great question. So we are 100% community funded, which I'm very proud of.
What does that mean?
It means all contributions and donations. So we have 3 fundraising events a year. We have a Night of Dreams, which is like a gala style.
That's coming up.
Coming up on May 11th.
May 11th where?
At Sapphire Creek Winery in Chagrin Falls.
Mm-hmm. And we'll put a link for anyone that would like to donate or attend or bid on auctions. I'll put the link in, but where can they go for these events that you're talking about?
BelieveInDreams.org. If you just click on that events tab, it'll tell you everything you need to know about Night of Dreams.
So you have Night of Dreams.
Mm-hmm. That's our biggest fundraiser. Yep. So that raises a lot of money for us to kind of go through the year. We have a golf outing in July.
In the summer at Barrington, which is a beautiful golf club. If you're golfers and you want to attend, that's another event, and it's spectacular. And then our race, our 5K, Running Wild at the Cleveland Zoo. And when's that? That is September 7th. Okay. And all these can be found on the BelieveInDreams.org events page. You can attend, you can, sponsor, you could just donate. Right. All right. So those are your 3 big events. How else do you raise money? Yeah. So we have grants, we have corporate donors, individual donations are huge for us as well. And you can donate in kind. You can donate your time. What is in kind? Okay, what is in kind? Yes, in kind is if you own a business and you're willing to allow a dreamer to shadow you or show them, something specific about what you do. Like I talked about earlier, we call those our dream grantors, and we need a database full of them. So when we have a match, we know who to call. So those are really important. Yeah, and so I call it dream sourcing, where let's say you're in Cleveland and you have Browns tickets or Playhouse Square tickets that you aren't going to use or you want to donate, and we have a dreamer, or we can use it as a auction item at one of our events to raise money. Items. Also, it doesn't have to be tickets. Like, we had a dreamer who wanted to be a welder. Yeah. We were able to connect him with a welder and he got to experience that. So
think about anything that you do or what your job is or what field you're in, that's something that a kid is dreaming of doing. And
other things that come to mind, great businesses, so many people are so generous in Northeast Ohio, is a retailer can, for a month, they round up.
Yes.
So when you're checking out and your, thing is, $54.20, you can round up to $55 or $60, yes. And all that goes to Believe in Dreams.
And John Roberts is doing that right now, which is amazing for this year. So the donate $1 is, it adds up. And it's a way that is, low cost fundraising for the organization. And it's not a lot of work on the retailer, and it's win-win because it really, really generates a lot of funding for the program.
And I think you might have said this, but you could just click and donate.
Yes, exactly. Right on our website.
That. Any other ways people can get involved?
We also have volunteer opportunities, whether you want to volunteer at one of our fundraising events, or we have a Friends of BID advisory board where folks can get involved in really helping expand the program so people know we exist. We don't have a big marketing budget, so having Friends of BID really be those advocates for the organization.
What's it take to what's the ask if you're a friend of Believe in Dreams?
So Friends of Believe in Dreams are folks that we meet 6 times a year, every other month. They attend our fundraising events. They kind of really amplify the program.
They're ambassadors.
They're ambassadors. They help get their friends involved. They help tell people about it. There is a give-get requirement, so they give of their own contribution, and then they also try and help generate others to give so that we can really, really build the program.
Another program that you love, that I love, is the Young Professionals
Committee. Yes.
My one of my sons, Cal, is on it. Yeah. Let's talk about that, because listen, whether you fit it or you want to get your son or daughter involved, besides the good it does for Believe in Dreams, it's a great way to meet other young professionals. And also, these young professionals meet the board. They meet me. And I mean, it's just such a great way for them to not only do good, but get connections with some big people in Northeast Ohio, if that's where they're from.
And it's a way, the Young Professional Committee is great because it's a way for them to meet other young professionals.
Correct.
that are working in the area. They, again, like you said, they meet board members. We have board members attend Young Professional Committee meetings and kind of give presentations on their expertise of things. So they really, really can network with the older board members. And then also, again, help be ambassadors for Believe in Dreams and support the work that we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, anyone that remembers when you're in your 20s, early 30s, and you're, trying to build your, what's with a Rolodex, your network. I mean, that's just a great way to now have, like the Believe in Dreams board has, it's some who's who in Northeast Ohio's top CEOs, and to have, at 28, to have access to be able to pick up the phone or email, our board members and say, can you introduce me to, I mean, that's great. And again, not to get away from the good it does for Believe in Dreams, but I would have loved to have that opportunity, not only to do good, not only to give back, but to have met people in big positions that can open the door for introductions or whatever it may be. And like you said, like-minded young professionals who, in no time are going to be the next leaders of Cleveland.
Exactly.
We miss any other ways?
Other ways you can get involved too. And this is another funding stream that we actually just started this year, is we have a merch store. Finally, we have a merch store. So you can buy Believe in Dreams swag, shirts, sweatshirts, hats, cups.
Do we have a Stanley
and all
cup
the proceeds
yet?
We get from the merch store goes directly to the program. Oh, no, but we should.
I don't know what it is. I just see it.
My kids have.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's the old Stanley soup. Remember the soup mugs?
No.
So like my dad had one when he used to work construction. It was like, it's like a soup mug, and it keeps everything either warm or cold.
So how's it different from a Yeti?
Is the same company. They just now make it's kind of very similar to it.
Yeah, that's what I picture.
Jug,
really. All right, so Believe in Dreams. Three.
Yes, we have
quarter zip.
The quarter zip.
Hats.
We have sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts. Do we have a polo? I think we have a polo. Yeah, you can check it out. Check it out. It's on our website.
What is Believe in Dreams after 10 years? And you've been with us. You've been key. You started off as a volunteer, and then in 2017, I think you got promoted to executive director, and you've been there every step of the way.
Yeah, and it's been really amazing and humbling to see it grow. It's been beautiful to see the community come together. We have such generous supporters, and I mean, my vision is to really just keep connecting community, and help those with resources and those without resources find each other and be able to connect each other's humanity, because that's when the magic happens.
I believe for most people in nonprofit, it's a labor of love. You certainly, and your team, I believe, you go out in the corporate world and you can get better paying jobs. And I know that's not why people in nonprofits do it. So what is that paycheck? What is that huge commission that in the corporate world we get? And, we could, finally get the pool, or finally, take the kids to Europe for, which is embarrassing and all that. What is it? So to you, what is that paycheck where you like, yes, this is why I do it? Do you have an example? I know you've shared some great ones, but what is it that's rewarding, that causes people to do what you do?
It's seeing the kids run with, you actually talked about this when you started the organization, and you talk about it a lot, with running with the belief that others have in you until you believe in yourself. When we see a kid believe in themselves and we see them run with the dream that got planted, and then they do it, the empowerment of that for them, and then they come back and say, hey, thank you. This is because of, someone believing in me. I now know that I can do this. That's huge.
Yeah. And hopefully your team feels that and gets it enough. I mean, I know they're having
team is amazing.
Oh, they are so amazing.
And they all have the passion for it and understand the mission so deeply. It's like in their bones, and it's beautiful to see it be so meaningful for them too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible. And you and your team, Eddie, and everyone at Believe in Dreams, the volunteers, the generosity of all the donors, corporate and individuals, and our board have taken what I started to levels that I probably never thought was possible. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Any other messages you want the audience to hear?
We're just really excited about our 10-year anniversary, and to be able to keep growing our dream of fulfilling more dreams for kids, and bigger, deeper, more impactful dreams that will have ripple effects for years to come.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Hey there, revolutionaries. Are you listening? Are you out there? We really want your feedback. We want to know if you're enjoying the Customer Service Revolution podcast. Do you like the content we've been producing? Do you like the guests that are on? If you enjoy an episode, please give us a thumbs up, write a review, send your feedback in. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you don't miss an episode. Thanks for being part of the Customer Service Revolution.
Okay, let's wrap up with my mantra: to live an extraordinary life so countless others do. What I'd like to share with you now is a video that's from my son, Cal DeJulius, when he was 17 in high school, where he got up on stage at the Customer Service Revolution Conference in front of 700 people, did a 3-minute speech on Believe in Dreams to educate everyone. And it's one of my proudest things that he's ever done. And you can see why today he's a successful speaker and consultant. Enjoy.
As many of you know, with children in high school, if you've went through the process in the past, it's marked by a lot of stress and confusion with dates and deadlines of college applications. And one pivotal component of the college application process is the college essay. So it's the one way for universities to compare us all, because we all will respond to one singular essay. So this year, every student in America will respond to the essay prompt that reads, "Discuss an event in your life that marked your transition to adulthood, and then explain how you overcame this event and thrived because of it." So the first part of that prompt is pretty easy. It's inferring that we all have a story, which we do. Every single one of us in this room has a story. And in just 17 or 18 years, a high school senior can extend their story in an essay. So that's easy. The complex part comes in the second part of that prompt, which is discuss how you overcame this event and thrived because of it. So what these college committees are inferring is that all of us children who have experienced a life setback have the exact same resources to overcome a tragedy and thrive because of it. When in reality, I think we know that's not true. Not all of us have the support systems that a lot of us do have. So while tragedy doesn't discriminate, overcoming one does. I learned this through my transition to adulthood, which was marked by the death of my mother in 2009. At just 11 years old, I was experiencing the typical stages of grief that would accompany a loss this significant. But quickly after my mother had passed away, my family and I were overwhelmed with the support and outreach from the community. Many of you are in this room right now. We had dinners cooked for us for 3 months, every single night. It was this support that enabled my brothers and I on a path of success, and we are continuing on that path today, and we are very grateful. But is that fair? Is that logical that not every single person has these same resources? Should my success after a tragedy be based on the accomplishments and connections of my parents? Tragedy doesn't discriminate. Overcoming one does. So we're asking these kids who have experienced severe tragedies, who have the least economic opportunity, to walk the thinnest line with little or no margin of error. That's not fair. That is what Believe in Dreams strives to centralize every single day. I think it's interesting how we misinterpret success. I often hear from a lot of people who come to these events and a lot of my friends at home how cool they think my dad is, and I always answer why. Why do you think that my dad's so cool? So I get anything from he's an awesome businessman to he's wrote 3 best-selling books. And while I'm not discounting these accomplishments, I hope to embark on half of the things that he has. I think that he is so much cooler in my eyes by the impact he's making on the lives of so many kids. He's the hero for so many and my hero as well. So thank you, Dad. I love you.